today I have a few topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about, like the title says, about Docker, how to learn Docker, why to learn Docker. I think it's a super important topic. Then I have two blog posts that I found very interesting. One that includes a statement from me, and another one that we posted on our Plumbers of Data Science Medium publication. We're actually, it's not for me, it's from somebody in the community, but it's a really nice post, and I think it can be very interesting for you guys. So yeah, and then I have something that's for today, because I'm doing we're doing a celebration of the 500th member of the Academy. So I'm giving away I'm doing a 25% discount on the Academy. So if you're interested, just stick here for a few minutes. I'm also going to send an email out about this. Yeah, so about Docker. The thing is with Docker, I was doing a lot of courses lately for the Academy, for my Data Engineering Academy. And wherever I go, I always stumble into Docker. I want to set up a tool, use Docker for this. Create a piece of code, deploy it as a Docker container. And I really think for every engineer and for every scientist, you have to know Docker. As a scientist, it's very important, because let's say you create that algorithm and you want to apply this somewhere, you want to host this somewhere, you want to go out and you want to just like give that image to an engineer or host it yourself somewhere on the cloud without needing to work with dependencies and so on. Like having something that is very easy to ship, very easy to deploy. And for that, Docker is important. So I've been thinking, like for my academy, what am I going to do right now? I was sending people out to another source where I have a YouTube video I really liked. But the problem with this is always people go down a rabbit hole, start going down a rabbit hole, and I don't want them to just go down and never come out of this rabbit hole. So I was thinking, okay, what should I teach people for a Docker? What do people need to know to understand Docker, to use Docker? And that's always my thing. I'm always trying to get you to the point where you can improve yourself, or where you can improve upon. Like not into every detail, because most people don't really need it, but having the fundamentals, having the basics, we then can start and can move on. So that's something I'm looking into with that course. And I already created the source code and so on, but I just want to show you, I posted that on Twitter already. I want to show you what I think you should do. So what I think you should do is, and let me open up, let me do a screen share here. All right. So I think looking at this, the first, I was splitting this into introduction, hands-on part, and the typical, let's say called typical usage. Introduction is more about that you understand what are the differences between Docker and virtual machines. Coming from computer science years ago, there was no Docker. We were setting up virtual machines and then running our code on virtual machines, which was like terrible. And it never worked on the other computers, and you have to install, basically create a virtual environment and then install a Linux image on that and so on. It was nice for the time, but it's like annoying to work with. So that you understand these, and if you just want to go ahead, take this, make a screenshot of this, or pause the video here when you rewatch this, and just look these things up. You don't need my course for this. I'm putting the course into the academy, as I said, for my students, so they get everything in one place. So how to install Docker Desktop. That's something that is something for the introduction, because you need to run this on your computer. Starting with the local install, Docker Desktop to build your containers, to build your images, to run some containers. That's very helpful, and that's what my students always use in the academy. And then you need the fundamentals of, okay, how does that actually all fit together? What are the fundamentals of Docker? You have the registry where you can upload or pull or push the images. You have images that is basically your blueprint for a container. And then you have your tags for the images, like latest or custom tags that you build. And then what are containers? How can you, what are containers? What are they used for? How can you run them in a quick intro way? Then I think that I find very interesting is Docker Hub. I think you have to know about Docker Hub. It's just whenever you search for an image, wherever you want to use an image, you could also use Docker Hub as your public registry. You are going to first look at Docker Hub and do a quick search and say, okay, yeah, this is the image for Kafka. This is a good image for whatever, Spark or Airflow, or a Postgres database. And with these things, I think you have your basic fundamental knowledge, so that you can then say, okay, let's apply this. And for me, there are always two things that you need to do. Is first, how can you work with prepared images? Like pull an image from Docker Hub, start it through the command line, and then the other part is building yourself an image. And basically, what I forgot about here, what I have on the list, is once you pull that image, you have two versions or two possibilities to start this. You could start this in the command line with the Docker run, and then add a lot of stuff as configuration behind it, or you could use the Docker Compose file. So that's something. Docker Compose is very important whenever you want to learn stuff, whenever you want to start a image. And as I said, if it's Airflow, you want to start Airflow, you pull the image, you look for a Compose file that is already basically from the Airflow people, or with Postgres, same thing, and then you start this. And for a Compose file, it's very important that okay, you have images, or you define your image there, you define the ports, how can other systems access the instance and do stuff with it. For instance, you open up the port for the browser, or a port for connecting from another system. Volumes, how you can share your volumes on your local machine, because we're working with Docker Desktop here. In this case, share your local data folders with the actual containers folders, because remember, when you delete a container, the data is gone, except if you connect a local volume with it. Variables and networking, also something important. So this basically the first hands-on part that I recommend you do is pull an image and start it, and understand what they're doing. Understand how the run command works. Understand how the compose files work. And from that you can then improve. You can say, okay, let's build an image. In my case, I said, okay, let's build a very simple hello world image, like a Python script that if you start it, it writes hello world in the command line, and package this as build with a Docker file, a Docker image out of it, and run it then as a container. That's the first thing, very, very simple. I added a argument there as well, so that you can add an argument, and then it's going to print hello world something. Very simple. The other part is then do a bit of more complex one, where you have to import additional Python modules into your build, and start it as a Docker file, and start it with Docker Compose, where you say, okay, I'm building the Docker file just like above, and also adding the requirements txt for the modules that have to be loaded. In my case, I used the Faker library here to just whenever this container starts, print out a name and a location. Yeah. And then once you understand this, you're already almost done with this. You know how to pull images, you know how to start images, you know how to build images. Now the other thing is working with a Docker registry to actually push images to the cloud for everybody to use. So that's what I have a quick hands-on part in this with Docker Hub, and yeah, where you can push pull images. I think that's important. With these, you're already very rounded, and you can, as I said, you can improve on this. So this gives you the fundamentals, and then you have a problem, you go and you Google this and Google your problem. You will find in which area is this, and you can figure it out. And then a typical usage part is like, what's the security that you should look for, especially with the build process, and also where can you deploy this on local dev environment like we did, local Docker desktop, on Kubernetes or cloud platforms like AWS, like ECS on AWS, like Elastic Container Service, or Docker Swarm. Docker has a way of deploying containers. Yeah. And also what I think is important, and I'm going to make an excursion into Portainer. I really like Portainer because you can manage the images very easily. You can manage your containers easily on this. When stuff is running, you can look into the log files and start and restart and so on. So I think Portainer is a very nice tool that you should know. So that's why I added it, and then I'm going to do a conclusion and and that's it. So I think this is a very rounded off fundamentals part, and yeah, this is what's going to go into the course. Vikram, this recording is going to stay here on LinkedIn, but you can find it always forever on my YouTube channel. So go to my YouTube channel, search me on YouTube, and then you're going to find the recording. On YouTube, it's a bit nicer than with the whole blog posts or posts that are going to come here on LinkedIn, and it's going to go. Basically, you can't find it anymore. So look into YouTube, and I think that's it. Let me know your comments here in the chat. I'm here. I have a few more minutes. What do you think? How important is Docker? Have you worked with Docker before? Post it in the chat. I'm going to answer that in the chat in a second. So this course is coming. I'm going to most likely record on Wednesday here. Yeah. So two things, as I said, I wanna say is, I have my Data Engineering Academy, and I put it here, 500 plus members. In February we had our 500th member. So I'm going to celebrate today with 25% off with the 500 celebration. You need to add the checkout of the academy. So if you go here and you copy this, or you use 500 celebration all in caps, and then you scroll down on my academy website here, select 12 months one-time payment, and if you do enroll now, you're going to come to a checkout page, and on this checkout page you can actually do the 500 celebration and apply. Why doesn't it apply here? That's the thing, when you don't copy it out. 500, this is missing an E. Celebration here, and then you're getting the celebration. And then you get the discount. For me, of course, this is plus tax. Yeah. So this is something, look into it. Only today, the next 24 hours, we're celebrating our 500th member, 500 celebration on the 12 months one-time payment checkout. people are always asking me, Andreas, are you going to do a discount code? Usually I don't do discounts, but I think 500 members is a nice reason to do a discount. So we're doing that. I have used it very little. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Liberar, that's the right attitude here. Just play around. I'm not sure if you're in the academy. I don't remember, but if like this is going to come soon, either look at the course in the academy or use the curriculum that the curriculum that I just shared, and just look into these topics. Google it. You will come very, very far with this, and it's a very useful tool. How can I install dependencies via Docker? Well, with the dependencies usually you see when you build stuff. And in our newest course, in our machine learning on AWS course here, in this course, what we actually did is we built here a container for the visualization part and hosted it on Fargate. And one way of working with the dependencies and making sure that stuff is, everything that you import actually fits together and so on, you can use Pocket as the dependency management. I like that. And yeah, we used Pocket here. It's also, how's it called? What? Oh, I didn't share the screen. Sorry. Here. So here we shared on Fargate, and we manage our dependencies here with Pocket. No, not Pocket. Am I dumb now? Poetry, I mean, not Pocket. Poetry. I'm sorry. Sometimes with Poetry, we're managing the dependencies, and that's something to look for. I actually did on LinkedIn did a poll last week, I think it was, where I was asking about the most used dependency management. And if it lets me go there, we can look at it, because there are a few. Poetry isn't the one that people use the most, actually. In my poll, people used something else, but I forgot about it. It's very popular. Today I'm blanking a bit on the names. Where is it? Here. Let me show you. Here. No. Where's it gone? Here. So we were asking, what are you using for Python dependency management? Poetry, pip env. A lot of people use pip env. 20% use Poetry. So look into that. That's something that you can use and look into. It's very helpful also for Docker builds. Yeah. So Docker, two more things. One thing that I recommend you look into is 17 new things every modern data engineer should know in 2022. There's an article from on the Rockset site where they do cloud analytics, and actually there is a statement from me in here on number 13. And I think you can read all about this. Check these out. I put the link into the description of this video, also on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So my thing is, that we're going to see a shift more towards real-time analytics on the cloud and using the data lake. That's something that I think is something coming, and I see this already with data warehouse or analytics databases and data lakes, where you have your analytics part and you have your data lake, and you need to process the data on the data lake usually. Now the problem is very often the data lies into the data lake, and it's hard to actually work with. With the help of these new tools, just like Rockset or BigQuery or on AWS Redshift Spectrum or Athena, with these tools, they make it easy to actually access your data in the data lake, just like a table that is laying around in the database, and then working with the data, processing the data. And I think that's something coming very, very more, or a lot more, that for ETL jobs, you don't need a database per se. You can just go in there and tick the data and process it from the data lake. You don't need to necessarily write an ETL job. You can directly access your data in the lake and analyze it. That's something that I think is coming and is here to stay. Another thing, another post that I want, what are you thinking about this, guys? Another post that I want to share with you that's actually on our Plumbers of Data Science Medium publication from Voter here, data lineage using graph database. So where the idea with data lineage is, now you have your data and you process it and you make something out of it, then you store it in another way, and you do some other analytics, store it in another way, and people are accessing the different types of the data or the different phases of the data. You actually want to keep track of this. So what's the lineage? What happened with my data? This is how we ingested it. This is how we first processed it, second process, third process. And for bigger companies or bigger projects, this is getting problematic. So this is where Voter came in here, and he just used a graph database to try to map out what is how it looked. Check this out. It's a very interesting use case with, how's it called here, ArangoDB or something. I don't remember which one he used. Yeah, here, visualize data lineage in ArangoDB, and yeah, check this out. Voter always writes nice blog posts that are very helpful. Yeah. Anything else? I'm here for 5 more minutes and then I actually need to go. As I said, if you're interested in the academy, and if you haven't joined because it was a bit too expensive, we're running a 24-hour limited discount here with the discount code 500 celebration. You can actually join in the next 24 hours for 25% off. And yeah, a few more questions and then I'm out of here, because I actually need to leave. I want to try to do a live stream every day at 10 a.m. East Coast. Tomorrow might be a bit problematic, but the rest of the week I'm here. I want to be a bit more here so you can actually ask questions and chat and help you a bit with the whole data engineering stuff, because it's my daily work, you know. Upcoming courses, I have basically 3 courses coming up. The next one will be the Docker course. The one after that is one I already posted about this on Twitter. It's a bit of a small preview here. I posted about this on Twitter last week, where I'm basically what I did is I'm using Elasticsearch, and from Yelp businesses, there's a Yelp public data set with businesses from Atlanta, Georgia, 10,000 businesses, and I created 100,000 fake users, and I made a million random app scans for 3 days. And basically, in this case, I want to show you how to use Elasticsearch and how to create a user interface for it, where you can actually track these people, where you can say, okay, let's create you add a zip code, and this is going to show you all the businesses for the zip code. And then you, for instance, here you select this brewery, and then you get the result of who is actually in this brewery. And then when you add the user ID here, or the phone ID, you can actually see where this user has been. So this is going to come next. And yeah, this is the next. So Docker is going to come next, then this, and then we're doing the second part of the machine learning on AWS part, where we are actually going to do a lot more CI/CD on Docker containers. So these three are coming next, and then I'm going to work on Airflow, Snowflake, and dbt. These are the next. Yeah, going to be the next. I'm writing not a book. I'm writing a small paper. Didn't I post about this here as well? Let me quickly check. Here I'm writing. Right now we're writing a small paper on like a QuickStart guide for data engineering, where we are showing you basically my platform blueprint, where a lot of stuff hinges on, where you understand which tools fit in which category and what are you doing. Then I'm talking about the 2 different types of pipelines you should build. And then I have a selection here of projects that you can do to actually learn data engineering. I think for me, doing projects is always a lot more beneficial than just learning individual tools or learning stuff very dry from books or from courses. You need to have hands-on parts. You need to have projects that are end-to-end. You need to document these, and then once you apply, then yeah, that's what really helps you in your career. Hey Shresh, how's it going, Shresh? Yeah. All right. Cool, Ravid. The LinkedIn is lagging. Yeah, LinkedIn somehow has a bit of problems lately. So I don't know what's going on with LinkedIn. That's why I host this on YouTube as well. Everything's fine. That's nice to hear, Shresh. I hope everything. Shresh was a coaching student, so I hope everything went well lately. Yeah, check out the new courses. Shresh might be also interesting for you. And yeah, if you're on my mailing list, you just have received the 25% discount code also via mail. If you want to join this mailing list, you can just I have a newsletter. When you're on the site on the top right, you can click on newsletter, and then you get all our best stuff directly to your inbox here. So I just got an email that it went out. Yeah. Oops, Chris is still in the victory. Then, yeah. I hope you all doing very fine. Have a good start of the week. I know for most of you it's early in the US. I have a lot of viewers from the US. I'm guessing it's early for you. Yeah, my day. It's already 3 p.m. So then, have a good one. See you in the next stream, most likely on Wednesday. Because as I said, tomorrow I'm visiting actually someone, and so I most likely have time to stream. Yeah. All right. See ya. Thanks for being here. It was nice chatting to you. I hope the Docker stuff is helpful for you. And